When I was 28 years old, I fell in love with the doctor. You're going to make me cry. Some of those elements of slavery will always be with us,
The
but
very first African American, he was not allowed to enter into the class.
money should be the last thing. Commercialism should be the last thing, but your talent must emanate from real feelings. And that's where writers get caught up sometimes.
That's
Might I add, you're the best interviewer. I've interviewed with people all my life.
Hello, dear fellas. This is fahad.𝐻𝐿 and welcome to Side Hustle. Today I have with me Miss Mitchell, all the way from Auckland. She's an author and an extremely inspirational personality. So, everybody, please welcome Miss Denise Mitchell. Mitchell, how are you?
I'm fine, Carol Denise Mitchell, because
Yeah,
there are other authors with the same name, so
pretty
I
long
like to
name.
be identical.
Is it your
Yes,
real name?
Carol. Yes, Carol Denise Mitchell.
Okay, Carol Denise Mitchell. Okay,
Yes.
if you had to define who is Carol Denise Mitchell, who is she?
A compilation of a person who has learned from life's experiences and who
Hmm.
has grown by my own inspiration to be an
Hmm.
author. Hmm.
That's great. And who has been your inspiration in all these years to become an author?
My father.
He was an author too?
No, my father was illiterate. My
Illiterate.
father could not read. My father could not write. But my
Okay.
father had the temerity to serve in World War II as a soldier in
Oh,
Hiroshima.
oh.
And even though he was not able to articulate and was functionally illiterate, my father was my inspiration because he could not read or write. And I told my father when I was 10 years old that I was
Hmm.
going to be a writer, and I've written 40 books since.
Oh, you've written 40 books. That's
I've
that's really
written 40 books. Mhm.
that's really great. But while said that your father was a total illiterate, how come he's your
Totally.
how come he's your inspiration?
Because in the African American family,
Hmm.
going back to slavery in the 1600s, a
Hmm.
person was penalized for trying to read or for trying to write.
Right.
And so, in our history as African Americans, this was a forbidden art. And so, the fact that my father could not read or write was a reminder of slavery and those things that we had to suffer. So, I wanted more than anything to epitomize the art of writing and telling stories. And therein is why I wrote this incredible book, Maxine.
Maxine. We'll come to that book. I'll you just reminded me of an history event that I recently read. That the very first African American, he was not allowed to enter into the class. I have seen a picture. The African American was sitting outside of the classroom and he was peeking towards the blackboard, and he was not allowed to get into the classroom. It was that level of discrimination. Do you feel that after the 13th Amendment and after all these years, the things have changed now, or if there are still some um, impact of that same pre-Civil War culture still? Is it there, or the things are fixed?
Well, I think I'd like to cite W.E. Du Bois because W.E. Du Bois was one of my favorite writers, and he said there would be simultaneous effects of
Okay.
slavery from Jim Crow. And so some of those elements of slavery will always be with us, but it's up to the individual, it's up to your family to teach you how to branch out above those limitations. And so
Right.
once I saw my father could not sign his own name and I was 10 years old, I made a vow and a covenant to my father that I would read, I would write. And before my father died, he saw my very first book and he was so proud.
Wow. Wow. That's great. So, coming to your book, Denise, Carol, it's a pretty long name. It will take.
Carol Denise.
it will take me some time to memorize it. It will take me some time to. I will just call you Carol. So Carol,
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 like
Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Okay,
Yes.
Carol. Pardon my language. There are cultural issues. I do not have the same accent as yours. Okay, coming to Maxim. So that love triangle that you have put in your book, is it something which is related to your own life story? Have you ever been into any love triangle?
I am so glad you asked me that question. And this is my book, Maxine.
Yeah.
And I wrote this book in June. That's
Okay.
just a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Already it has 27 uh,
Reviews.
comments,
I have
and
seen.
they're
I've
all
seen those.
pretty good. And I
Yeah.
couldn't believe how people are relating to this love story. This is an amazing book. As a matter of fact, if you read this book, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
learn so much about yourself, whether it's advertent or inadvertently, that you're going to have to write this book. Some of the comments are, oh no, and some of them are, oh, poor Dr. Logan.
Oh,
Well, the genesis of the story is basically, to put it in a nutshell,
yeah.
never hide when
Your
you love
feelings.
someone.
Yeah.
Never hide your feelings. If you're in love with someone, don't let the inhibitions overrule that feeling of love. Dr. Logan was a well educated doctor, but he grew up in Hunters Point. So there were some residual effects of growing up in the hood that didn't come to the fore necessarily until he was unable to tell Maxine that he was in love with her. In fact, he introduced her to another doctor, his best friend, and she fell in love immediately.
So
She
maybe
fell in love
maybe
immediately.
he could not, maybe Dr. Logan couldn't recognize his own feelings at that time. He didn't hide
Well,
those. Actually, he didn't know that the affection that I'm feeling towards Maxine, it was not actually the love, but he found it out later, isn't it?
I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
The book's most pivotal effect happens when he actually introduces Maxine to Dr. Brad Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
And then he realizes that night when he set up the dinner for the two,
Mm-hmm.
and right when he was getting ready to leave, a pit came to his stomach and he realized he had done the wrong thing. Right there,
Mm.
he said, I'm in love with Maxine. He'd known her for 20 years or so. And he introduced her to Brad because they were friends. They just had a really good, fun friendship, always sharing, always with each other. She was a wealthy TikTok influencer. She had her own money, a mansion in Lafayette, and they were
Mm.
basically friends until this one moment.
Mm.
And when he turns around to leave the restaurant, he realizes he's in love with Maxine.
Right. Right.
He's never told her.
Right, but the question that you actually ignored, I asked that, is it something somewhere related to your own life and your own experience in some way?
When I was 28 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with the doctor.
Oh.
And what happened is I told you precipitatively before we started filming that I am in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
I thought I was going to die
Hmm.
in May,
Hmm.
of 2024, and my health was not in good shape.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
because I thought I was going to die, I had written all these other books, but I had never told the story of when I fell in love with this one specific doctor. And I wrote the book in 5 days because I
Wow.
thought I was going to die. And
Wow.
now it's doing better than any of the other 40 books I've written because the passion is compelling, the love is real. And in
Hmm.
Maxine, I was able to give myself the opportunity to love this doctor the way I should have in real life.
Hmm. And does that doctor guy knows that you were in love, or he's going to find out after reading this book?
Well, he knew it really broke up my marriage
Oh.
because I was married, and my husband said, "You're in love with Dr. So and so,"
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't deny it. And I
Mm-hmm.
wrote letters about it, and the letters I wrote to magazines back then, they would print the letters out of
Mm.
thousands and thousands. They printed my letter, and the
Right.
doctor saw it.
Mm.
So the doctor said to me, I was a young woman, I was 28. He said to me, one day you will look over your shoulder and I'll be there. So he was reciprocating some of those feelings. But we
Right.
could never get together because we were locked into other relationships and that kind of thing. But I never stopped loving him, even to this day. And so the story, and I guess that's why people can identify. But what happens to Dr. Logan at the end is making
That's
readers really mad because they're like, Carol, I didn't expect all this. And that's why the book is doing well, and
oh.
that's why it's so compelling.
Let's just
Maxine.
yeah, Maxine. So Maxine is your you are yourself actually. That is your projection in the book actually, right? So what
It is projected. She's not completely 100%
obviously
identifiably me.
yeah,
Some parts.
whenever we write fiction, we have to add something to keep our
Oh,
readers
we do.
engaged, and that's what we are.
Absolutely.
That's what we even do when we do any cinematic project. For even the biographies are not 100% exact projection of the true events. Anyhow, so what is attributed to the book's growing success? What do you think is actual element that is attracting the massive audience that you've already got 27 five-star comments on Amazon? What's the major reason? What's that hidden element in this content?
I think it's my talent as a writer. I've had a lot of experience as a writer.
Okay.
I'm a two-time award-winning writer. So I've
Wow.
learned from some past productions how to tell a story, how to be more convincing, how
Okay.
to draw emotions.
Okay.
And one thing that I'm phenomenal for is creating characters. And the way an author can create a good, viable character that is believable is by using people you really know. And then
Right.
at the end, you change the name to the real
Right.
character.
Right. But what is your creative process? How you get to the? But this is something that you have learned from your life. But you already said that you have written almost 40 books, if I'm not wrong. You just said that
Yeah.
earlier. So how do you come up with that much content? What is your creative process? Is it something that you just keep on thinking, or you just take inspiration from any existing literature? What is your creative process of writing a book?
I think my creative process is a compilation. I'm
Mm-hmm.
69.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost 70 years old. I'm at the end of my life, more than I am at the front or the middle. And so my life experiences offered me many opportunities to meet varying different cultures and people. And when I wrote the book, The Mad Sister, it was a Middle Eastern woman.
Hmm.
That one look she gave me inspired an entire novel.
Oh.
And so writers get their inspirations from direct and innocuous places and from the carnals of their mind where they remember things. And Maxine was precipitated because I thought I was dying. I'll tell you another thing about Maxine. Once the book was completed, I realized the main component of any creation, and I'm not a biblical person, was God. Because
Hmm.
I looked at the book and I said, where did this come from?
Right.
How did you create this in 5 days? How did you and on the same line of creation, I wrote my other book, Ruthless Pamela Jean, that's also doing really well, in
Mm-hmm.
7 days. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess once the Lord decides that the onus is on me to take what he's giving to me and growing it into something, but I also am mindful that whatever I create must be illuminative enough to help other people, that your story is also inside my story and my ability to tell it.
Right, right. You see, Carol, there also must be many aspiring writers who might be taking inspiration from you, and they want their story to be told. What would you advise them? Is writing really a profitable business? That you have read 40 books. Is it really a profitable business? And what would you advise them? Or should they just be writing only to satisfy their own soul, or to just get the content out of them? Or should commercial aspect should be one of the considerations in this writing career?
Commercialism and money should be the last objective.
Okay.
It should be the last objective, because initially, from inception, when I wrote my first book, I was 23 years old. And my first book was called What Happened to Susie? Okay. So I pushed it to varying different publishers, and the publisher said, we don't like this book. We don't like Susie. And they tried to make me forget about the whole objective of writing. So I let What Happened to Susie go. I self-published it and let it go. And then I got a call from the Library of Congress. Oh. I got a call from the Library of Congress, which is the infinite library in all the world. Yeah. And they said they wanted What Happened to Susie. They wanted to put it in the Adams room and the Jefferson room. And they put it in the Washington room. And that's without money. That's without a publisher. That's just with the librarians finding that book, realizing the incredible relevancy of that book to child abuse. Right. And now my book is archived in the Jefferson room. Every book doesn't go there, not even from Simon and Schuster. Indeed. Not even from Random House. So money should be the last thing. Commercialism should be the last thing, but your talent must emanate from real feelings. And that's where writers get caught up sometimes. They think there's a colloquialism, that there's a pattern that you have to follow. And there really isn't. It comes from your heart, because if you're really writing good material, you're going to be saying things that some people don't like. But you have to write it. Right. You have to tell the truth.
That's great. Content is king. Whenever there is something which is exceptionally excellent, it won't need any sort of catalytic forces to get into something. Right.
Yes.
So, Carol, you said that earlier, that you felt that you are about to die. Now that you have read 𝐬𝐿, do you still feel the same?
My physical health is not good. I have a compilation of medical issues, which some are normal for the aging process. So I was having breathing issues at the time I wrote 𝐬𝐿. I literally could not breathe very well. I was going to go on oxygen, but I just wanted people to know how much love is, how compelling it could be, and how in your last days, there are certain people you want to pay attention to and honor. And the only way I could do that was by writing 𝐬𝐿. And people are really feeling this book. Dr. Logan is an incredible character. He's so incredible. I had to change the cover of the book to just him.
I've seen that. The one on the Amazon was different.
Yeah, I had to change the cover because people were so intent on Dr. Logan. He took over the story. And guess what? He's not the doctor I fell in love with. His friend is.
Oh, yeah.
That's writing. That's writing. Innately writing. You never know how a book, you'll start off one place.
Yeah? You see, sometimes things don't work out the way we thought they would. And our audience is always, it's a pure gamble many times. I often feel that best written are not bestsellers, and bestsellers are not best written. That's what
Exactly.
I've always
Yeah.
felt. I've always felt.
Oh,
So,
oh yeah.
yeah, but provided that you agree with this statement, have you ever read any book that you felt that it was very overrated? Any book
That it was
overrated?
overrated,
Yeah,
overrated or
overrated,
underrated.
overrated.
No, I have not, because I don't publish every book. As many books as I've published, I don't publish every book. So I
No,
try to
I'm
publish
not
books.
talking about your own books. I'm not talking about your
Oh,
own books. I'm talking about
other books.
any of the book on this planet. Yeah.
I would never take an opportunity where I'm publicly speaking to
Yeah.
denounce or say anything negative about another creator, because we don't know where that inspiration emanates from. And just
Right.
like with my father, I wouldn't want anyone to
Right.
repudiate my own
That's
stuff.
good. But talking about your own book, there must be one book that you felt that it should have got more recognition, but it didn't. Which one is that? Your own
What
book.
happened? What happened to Susie? But
Okay, the
I'm
first
not going to
one.
really feel sad. I'm not going to feel sad about what happened to Susie, because it's epitomized by the fact that the Library of Congress found it, and they asked me for the original manuscript. See, I'm an older person. I'm
Uh-huh.
69.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't have word processors, and I actually typed what happened to Susie on a Royal typewriter.
Oh,
So when I wanted the original manuscript, it was a real manuscript. And I had to send
I
it. So my original manuscript for What Happened to Susie is in the Library of Congress. I don't
wow.
even have a copy of it. I was too
That's-
afraid, because when they asked for the original manuscript, I didn't want to put it in a reproducer or a printer and mess up a page and then ruin everything. So I just sent the entire book.
Right. So let's just wind it up. So Carol, will this be your last book? And what's your future plan?
You're going to make me cry. Let me show Maxine again. This is Maxine we're talking about. Um, you're making me emotional.
No. Don't be,
Maxine
don't
will
be.
be Maxine will be the last book
Okay.
of my
Okay.
life.
Okay. And that's
But I've
gonna.
said that before. I've said that before, so you never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
It's hard
Just
to write a book. It's
no,
hard
no,
to.
no.
Before you go, I just
No,
want
no,
to
no.
let people know this.
It's not hard for you, provided that you did all that in 5 days and an entire complete book. You got the inspiration from one woman, one look of one woman. So it's not hard for you. It's not hard for you. So my personal advice would be to you: do not constrain your limits. Right? Do not feel as if this is going to end. You are a writer, right? You should not become a
Yes,
pessimist. You should never become a
yes,
pessimist. You should be
that's
optimist.
right.
You are
Yeah.
almost 70 years old, and I would like you to live for 70 more years on this planet.
Oh,
Right?
thank you.
That's
Might I add, you're the best interviewer. I've interviewed with people all my life. I'm not like Kamala Harris. I don't have a problem explaining myself. I hope nobody
you
takes
see,
offense.
I'm a professional podcaster, no? So that's why.
Yeah.
Well, so an interview is always engaging when you are literally genuinely interested in the other person. Okay. I'm
Yes,
not doing it
yes,
just for the sake of creating some sort of content. Just like the way
yes,
you said that the commercial aspect should be the least priority of ourselves. I'm
exactly.
doing it because
Mhm.
I'm enjoying this conversation. That is the only thing. That is the real motivation for me. If that purpose is done, I'm very much satisfied with that. Okay, uh, Carol, quickly, what would be your final advice to all those aspiring writers, all those who want to become like Carol? What would be the final nugget of awesomeness from your side? Please, over to you. Mike is yours.
Okay, I would first of all, I want people to go out and buy
And buy
Maxine
Maxine. Buy
today
Maxine, extremely good book.
and make
Yeah.
sure you leave a review. It's so important.
Right.
But my message to writers is don't feel afraid of what you're feeling and don't be afraid to say it because this is a history of life. We're
Hmm.
not going to be here forever. And no
Right.
one is going to know your history, your family, and
Hmm.
family is very important to people.
Right.
No one's going to know anything about that loving family of yours unless you tell the story. Lineage is very important. Like my father couldn't read and write, but he has a daughter who is a world famous writer. I've got 2 book awards, and I never even finished college.
Wow.
I never went to college. So you can do anything you want, but be passionate and be honest. That integrity, that honesty is the most important thing because readers are smart. The publisher may not want to publish your book, but the reader may still want to read it.
That's
So
great.
put it out there. Don't expect a lot of money. And then if you do get the money, be gracious for it. But always be true to your creativity, to your heart.
Right.
That would
That's
be my message.
that's a great message. Though that's a great message. So, dear audience, if you do not have that much resources, she's an African American from a very humble background. Her father was a total illiterate. And if a daughter of an illiterate could become a world famous author, what is stopping you? What excuse you guys have? Think about it. With that said, do the good care of yourself. Until next time, take care.